So, we had done a video, didn't we, a few days ago, and it was really talking about the trip, the New York trip, and these 14 to 16 people coming down from New York to move into a property. There's some people who say it was to be rented, there's some that say it was to be purchased, but ultimately, what does it matter? Rent, buy. The important thing is that we understand that this was a group of people who was apparently coming down from New York to Tennessee in order to move in to a property. And there was a few of them. So all of these people were apparently moving into this rental property. They didn't seem to check that it was still available before they came, which is bizarre. And then they got there, they went to a storage facility, and then subsequently turned around and drove back, leaving behind Jose Roman. And look, this isn't about going after Jose again. What this is trying to do is to understand how the different elements that we're coming across fit in, if they fit in, to what happened to Summer. And I think even if things are not directly involved, it's still possible that they were indirectly involved. And I'm still not 100% that the situation wasn't directly involved. And I'll tell you for why. Jose, by his own admission, had stated that he had simply gone along for the ride. But let's not forget that if he had gone along for the ride, then he is, by his own admission, saying that he wasn't involved in the purchasing of the property that they were going to, or moving in with them. Or he'd have simply said, I was part of the group that was moving into this house, but he didn't. He said he was going along for the ride. And as far as we know, that when they left to go on that journey, that was a one-way trip, because they'd gone there with all purpose to stay. So it wasn't a round trip. You know, if it was a planned round trip, then you could say that I went along for the ride. But he didn't. It wasn't like that. It was a bunch of people that had gone to move into a property that subsequently fell through. And it was at that time that Jose had turned around and said he decided that he weren't going back. He was staying. So that story in itself poses a few issues and concerns, because it kind of makes you wonder what Jose's intentions were all along. You know, he went there, was he just along for the ride, or was he going there because he was going to move in with these guys? And if he was going to move in with these guys, why not just say, I was part of the group of people, we had located a house and we was all moving into it? And why would this many people want to move into a property together? That in itself is a little bit weird. You know, I can't think of any real scenario where a group of people would want to move to this specific kind of area and move into a property together unless there's something nefarious involved. So I believe that there was more to this than simply moving down to rent a property. Let's say rent, because the majority of people are saying this was a rental property, even though we know that 110 Ben Hill Road was placed up for sale. We also know that something happened when Jose was down that forced Don to come back in a hurry, in so much of a hurry, as we've said before, that he got a speeding ticket. So what happened? Why was there such a hurry to get back, Don? Why did you have to jump in your car and come back? Why is it that Candace wouldn't even admit that she knew Jose? She actually referred to him as the little Mexican. It's not being funny, but he's not Mexican. As far as I'm aware, he's Puerto Rican. Now, why would she say the little Mexican? Now, that to me would be classed as a fraudulent slip, because I think that she called Jose the little Mexican because he had a connection to Mexico. That's what I think. Now, what is Jose's connection to Mexico? We have heard numerous references in this case to Mexico, to the cartels, to money, to trafficking. And we know that in terms of trafficking, Mexico is the biggest trafficking concern. It's the biggest trafficking concern. They are the biggest country in the world in terms of taking children and not allowing them to go back. So we do have a serious issue with Mexico here. And there's just too many things surrounding this trip that just leads you to believe that there's something more to it. There is something more to it. And I believe that there was something to do with a debt of some description, or a deal that went wrong, a deal that went sour, and Summer potentially got caught up in the middle of it. Definitely wasn't what they said it was. Definitely not. And I don't know what you guys are thinking about it, but it would be interesting to know what you think. I know some of you have said that you agree with the idea that there was potentially drugs and money involved, but I think these fraudulent slips, the references to Mexico, and the statements made by the people involved point towards this trip being somewhat nefarious. Catch you all on the next one.